Tell me what your maiden name was and then what your parents' name is.
Rohrich, Rohrich.
Okay, and mom and dad's name?
My dad was Clemens Rohrich, and my mom's maiden name was Gertrude Boser.
Gertrude?
Mm-hmm.
Can you spell her last name? And her maiden name was
Boser.
B-O...
Bossert.
Okay. And your dad's name is spelled C-L-E-M...
Clemes.
Yes. Okay. Were you born on the farm?
I think so. I'm not sure, but my folks never talked about it. And now that they're not here no more, we would have a lot of questions. Nobody here. I'm the only one left out of 12.
Oh my gosh, really? And where was your farm located?
It was 16 miles east from Linton. A little bit northeast.
Northeast, sort of.
Yeah.
West, you know.
Where were you in the order of
The third youngest.
the third youngest? Okay, so then by the time you were born, the older kids must have had certain chores to do, but what kind of chores did you have to do out on the farm?
When I was at home with
Like when you were a little girl.
Yeah.
I'm sure they start you out young,
Well, the
right?
first thing I suppose we had to do when we were little is get the eggs. And, you know, when you're old enough to start some work, give the chicken some water and some food, and later on, when you're strong enough, you had to milk by hand. We milked a lot of cows already by hand.
And how about anything like gardening or field work? How old did you have to be before you actually got to run a piece of equipment?
Well, I didn't at home, but my folks, what did I have to do? I had to drag the fields with the 4 horses. That was a hard job. I hated it.
What does that mean to drag the field?
Well, they have these drags. They've got these little legs, scalped, I don't know.
Little points down.
Yeah, to level the land after it was plowed.
And then after that, then they went back in there with the seeders?
Sometimes they seeded it first, and sometimes they did it after that.
Okay.
Oh, we had to do a lot. My dad always bindered everything. We had to shock.
Can you explain what that means for those of us who aren't quite sure about that?
Binder.
Maybe.
It is like now they have the combine, and there they had the header, the binder. It, you know, the shocks. Yeah, you know what the shocks are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's another thing we had to go. We had to go out and shock all them. Put about 8 or 10 in a pile, little stacks. We had to pile them all up.
And so actually that must have taken like days and days
Oh
to
yes.
do.
Oh yes.
And so the whole family had to help with that?
Well, just the younger ones. Yeah, the older ones had to do other stuff. The ones that the boys, you know. A lot of my brothers were not home no more when I was ready to start to work, or my 2 oldest sisters, they were not home no more.
Where did they go? Did
Got
they?
married.
Oh, okay. And they had their own setups.
They had their own, yeah.
Oh, so can you remember any stories about going out to the field and doing that when you were young? Anything funny that happened? Tragic. I know that sometimes farm accidents happen.
Yeah, I
to you.
had farm accident. I had to haul bundles to trash, haul up these, load them up on a hay box, and then when my load was full, I was going to drive in by the threshing machine. I was going to crawl up, and I fell down backwards, and I broke my arm.
And did you get taken to the
Oh,
hospital?
yeah, not to the hospital, to the chiropractor.
Really?
They took me over to Wishick, yeah. And they took x-rays, and then they put a, what do you call it, on a
cast.
cast.
And so then you got out of work?
I got out of work. That's the year my folks moved to town.
Okay.
Yeah, and they were still kind of farming, and then I got to go to town too.
Oh, cool. So once your folks moved into town, then who was out on the farm?
My brother.
Okay.
He
so
was
then,
married.
Okay, so then you didn't have your own farm until you got married
Yes.
and moved out to...
Then we bought our own farm.
Okay.
Yeah, we lived on my folks' farm for about 5 years or so, or 4. And then my brother got married. Well, there was not enough room for both of us, so we rented a farm, not far from our farm, for about 3 years, I guess. And then we bought our own.
Was it hard to get money to buy a farm?
We borrowed it from FHA. Yeah. So,
And did you have any livestock on your
oh
farm?
yes.
So you must have milked also. Then.
We milked, Pete and I, we milked for 42 years.
So tell me about that milking thing. There must be some stories about milking that you could tell me.
We milked by hand for a lot of years, and all of a sudden one of our sons said the neighbors had auction and they had a milk machine for sale. There were chores. So he went to that auction without our permission and bought that milk machine. Well, we liked it. So we milked with that machine not too long. Then we put pipeline in, pipeline, and the milk comes in the machine when you hang it on the cow, and then it goes straight into the ball tank.
And then where did that milk go from that bulk tank?
The milkman came and picked it up.
Okay. And was that good? That was good money in that?
Well, a little bit better than if you would sell cream. A lot better than selling cream. We liked it. So,
And did you have milk of your own then? That you did you have a house cow or?
no, we used that same milk. We milked with the machine.
And so you took off your draw before you sold
Yep.
the rest of it?
Oh, yeah.
So did you pasteurize your milk at all or?
We didn't
Anything?
pasteurize it, no. We
'Cause-
never had a pasteurizer. I don't know. And some people buy the milk even if they got their own. But our milk was clean. We knew it was clean, So otherwise we wouldn't have ate it or sold it.
So then the cows were a good source of income for you, and what else did you do? Did you raise
Well,
small
we-
crops?
We had crops, and then some sold the calves when the cows calved, and yeah. And we always did. Pete and I, we did all kinds of work. We went and shopped for other people. We got so much an acre, We worked hard out in the farm. And then sometimes the schoolhouse had to be cleaned. We went and did that for about $8. That was very little money.
So speaking of money, I heard a story that Josh told me that for Christmas money you do baking.
Oh, I do a lot of baking for people.
And you just learned on your own? Did your mom teach you?
Well, I knew how to bake before I got married. I could make good bread buns. Make a lot of wedding kuchen when people have weddings. I bake kuchen for them.
Still to this day?
Well, last year I did, yes. The winters are always kind of slow. But in the summer when people have weddings, or I make pies for other people, or even cookies, or sometimes I wonder if some people don't want to bake, or it's... Well, nowadays, the women all work, and yeah.
However, you don't think that what you did on the farm would kind of constitute work?
Yeah.
So how about like clothes that you worked in and clothes that you there must have been, you must have had limited wash days and limited showering.
Well, I usually washed on Mondays. But we had 10 kids, we had a large family. But see, I washed Mondays, and then I usually probably washed on a Thursday again for the weekend, that everything was clean. Yeah.
And no dryer, I suppose.
No, we had a Maytag wash machine with motor on. That sucker made noise.
You guys were on the farm without electricity?
Oh yeah, we didn't have electricity for the first 4 or 5 years. We didn't have see, other people did, but my folks lived in town and they didn't sign up for electricity right away. So we didn't have no electricity until we moved to that old farm that we rented. There they had a lot of electricity, but boy, they had mice too in that house. That house was insulated with ash. When you moved the fridge, you needed the shovel to clean up back there. That's how many mice there were in there.
Gosh, you're kidding
And
me.
it was a small, small house, yeah, and cold.
So by ash you mean like coal or
Yeah.
furnace ash
Yeah.
they put in the walls to insulate?
That's how many mice there were in there.
Gosh, you're kidding
And
me.
it was a small, small house, yeah, and cold.
So by ash you mean like coal or
Yeah.
furnace ash
Yeah.
they put in the walls to insulate?
And we had a stove beside the bed, right close to the bed. We had a heating stove there that we burned coal. And right in the kitchen, there was a small kitchen, half as big as this. There we had the cook stove. And that's what I used to cook and keep the house warm. It's a good thing we only had 2 kids when we lived in that farm, because then we moved over. We bought that other farm about 2 miles from there. And that's the house that burned.
Oh, tell me about the night of the fire. How did that all
That
come
happened
about?
in the daytime, in the afternoon, around 2 o'clock. I don't know what happened. I was on the phone with a neighbor lady, and I said to him, "There's smoke coming up from like this here, on the floor, where the heat comes up." And he said, "Go call the fire department." Well, you don't think, but something like that happens. So Jim, our son, and his wife, they lived 2 blocks away from us in the trailer house out on the farm and up by our farm. I ran over there. I drove over there. I didn't know. And our son worked in town. I could have called him, but you get so nervous. So I had to call my nephew's wife. They live on the farm too. I said, "Call the fire department. Our house is dirty."
Did anybody get hurt?
No.
But you lost everything.
Everything except one chair. Yeah, we lost.
Because you wouldn't have had insurance on your house.
We
back
didn't
then?
have insurance. Every year we had insurance. That year we didn't. It's a good thing that Jim and Mary lived there. We stayed with them for about a month, I guess.
And where did you how do you get furniture in a house after something like that happens?
Well, the neighbors, our in-laws, they were so good to us. They came, and they were Ben Vetters. They brought Adam Vetter, gave him some jeans that fit him perfect. And Delphine, Ben Vetter's wife, our in-laws, they brought us some clothes and some food, and they came right away. And because we didn't have we had electricity, but with being the fire, it didn't work no more. So they had to come out from town. And
Of all the things that you lost in that fire, can you tell me what the most precious thing is that you think that you lost that day?
well, we had a lot of pictures. And our son from San Diego was home, and he took all the pictures along, all of them. Then he made copies of them. He bought the albums and everything, and he put them in. But now he's got them all on the disc, the pictures, So he probably would have some copies. I don't know.
So you didn't lose all of them because he had them with.
He had them along, yeah.
Wow. Did you lose anything? Yeah, I suppose you lost documents and.
Our abstracts and everything from the land we lost. Cost us $2,000 to have them made again.
2,100.
Gosh, really?
Huh?
2,100.
That's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, people gave us a lot of clothes. Well, you know how it is, nothing fits. But we were just glad. I got a lot of towels, new ones and old ones, and did we get towels?
So did you rebuild that house out there on the farm, or?
No, but we remodeled it. We tore everything out. It was just all one room. And then he did everything by himself. And then we added 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. We put the water in the furnace, and everything was new. We had a nice house out the farm. Yeah, I miss my house. Oh, did I miss my house. So we rented I called town here, and then I found that one, it's apartment downstairs. I said, yeah, but I need something that's furnished. We haven't got nothing. Okay, y'all will furnish it. Well, we got one bed in there, you know, these old-fashioned springs that were that high, that's mattress. And a table and 2 chairs, there was a stove in there and a fridge, that's all we had. But then we got some dishes from some people they gave us, you know. There are a lot of good people out there with something like that house. And they collected some money, they had jars in the bars. And then the KC had I don't know that you knew Andrew Runner. He had cancer. So they had a breakfast for us and for Andrew the same day. And we got about $300 and some, and they got $300 and some. So every little bit helped. Yeah. Then we went to the auction sale. We bought a table and chairs, and then we bought a bedroom set and a washer and a dryer.
So what year was the fire?
2010. Yeah.
Oh, so it wasn't that long ago. And then you didn't end up in this house right away.
No.
Well,
But eventually you did. Then.
we stayed in that apartment for about maybe a little over a month, something like that. Then we bought this. Oh, I was so happy. We only had all we had was 1 3/4 size mattress, and we both slept on there for a while. And our daughter, she went to college, but in the summertime she came home and worked at the FHA down here. And then she had to go down and stay with our oldest son and his wife. They live on the farm. Oh, she was the happiest person in the world when she got to come home. That grandpa,
Yeah.
they used to live there too.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because there was the pictures are in there from the rocks from this sod house, you know, just a little ways down.
Remember,
Yeah.
they used to come and visit us.
And the farm's still in the family though, right?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Jerry's got it.
Okay,
There's
good.
no house out there, but they live in a trailer house.
And he actually farms?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you ever have a job outside of the farm?
Not on the farm. I had enough.
The weather, was the weather different back then?
Well, you know, it was in 54 when we had, you know, I didn't get out of town, didn't get out of the house for 3 full months. 3 full months. Well, there we had so much snow. There were no roads. We didn't have no roads that time. And you couldn't travel. So the neighbors, my brother and the neighbors and him, they took the sled and drove to Tenvik. And then Jake Kuntz used to live in there. And then he took them down to Linden with the car.
To shop.
To get groceries and stuff. Or did he buy groceries that time? Everything big.
Oh,
Yeah, we were getting low in groceries, you know. And then for 2 weeks we had money, but we didn't get to town. All we ate was eggs. He didn't have to say what did you cook today or how have you got the eggs.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
So
I
did
didn't
you,
ask, honey, what you cook today? Honey, how have you got the eggs today?
so you didn't have like canned goods put up or flour,
that
or were you
was,
out of
the
everything?
well, we had flour. I had flour and I had shortening and I think I had some sugar left. But we didn't have no more other groceries, you know. Well, we had chickens. I could butcher a chicken, make soup or something, you know. But otherwise, we were out of everything else. You know. Like we in the fall, we bought a lot of flour. And from there on, you know, we had our garden. I did a lot of canning and we always had food. We were never shut. That's the only time, but we just didn't go to town. We had so much snow.
Yeah.
God, and how about school? Did the kids get to school then?
That time we didn't have kids yet that went
No
to school.
school.
We had the oldest one and he was little yet.
You
How
know,
about when you were like young? Did you go to school in the wintertime a lot? Or how did...
we lived not even a half a mile from the school. And the teacher always boarded at our place. So they had to walk to school. And we always had to go to school, even if it was 30 below. But I know I had that big scarf. My mom wrapped me up. And, well, the older kids, too, you know, took care of me. We always had a Christmas program. And nice programs. Funny ones sometimes. And that was fun. Then the parents all came. And some came from down the double school by St. Michael's. They came up to see our program because we went down to see theirs, and we could sing nice.
And what was Christmas like then? You know, like what kind of celebrations did you have growing up?
Well, we
and-
always had a Christmas tree. My mom, and you know what? They had a car battery, and they had lights on the tree. I don't know how they hooked that up, but we had lights. We didn't get gifts like they do nowadays. My mom, each one got a big bag of goodies, peanuts, nuts, cookies, and whatever you want to see. Sometimes, and I still had that. It was a bottle like a shoe, Santa Claus's shoe, and there was a little bottle of perfume in there. And I still had that, but then when the house burned, yeah, we enjoyed Christmas more than they do now, even if we got a little gift. But we always got them, and from our godmother and godfather, we always got extra stuff too. And we enjoyed life more than they do nowadays, a lot more.
Even
No, we never had a doll. Or once I remember when Eva, she was younger than I was. I had two that were younger than me. And folks came home one time, I think they went to an auction sale. They bought a little buggy with a little doll in. That's the only time we ever got a doll.
and you had to share it.
We had to share it, yeah.
So was it only you three girls, and then the rest were boys in your
No,
family?
there were 7 girls and 5 boys. We had
7 and
7
3.
boys and 3 girls. Marie, Linda, and Diane.
Yeah.
And they're all living and still.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're all healthy and good shape.
What do you remember about your mother? Is there anything that she did that was like endearing to you, or?
Oh, she was always nice to us, but we were, like when we were young, we were always scared to come home late. I'm sure she heard us every time. And then we had that clock that every hour it made ding, ding, and we hated that clock so much.
So what did you guys do like when you were young ladies in like high school age? You know, for fun on Saturday nights. Do you guys?
Whilst there wasn't such a thing as a Saturday night go away.
Oh, okay.
No, we always went to church on Sundays. Always. We never missed church.
So you weren't allowed to go anywhere on Saturday night.
Well, there were no roads no good roads, especially in the wintertime. Oh, we went to dances, me and Pius. We drove to Napoleon too. He had a Model A. We went to Napoleon a lot to dances. And to the Seaman Park. They used to have that hall down here. I never got to Strasbourg to dance until my folks moved in. Well, then we were there. There was a dance every Friday night.
Did you have your kids at home or in the hospital? And where did you have them?
Oh, I had them in the hospital. The first 2 I had in Bismarck, and then Marie, she's in the middle there. We had her in Bismarck. The rest I had here at Linton. Yeah.
So what kind of car you didn't take a horse to town to have babies or anything?
No, when we got married, he had a pretty good car. So we always had good vehicles.
And how long did they keep you in the hospital when you had a baby?
Well, I said I had to stay 8 days with the oldest one. 8 days. I was so homesick I couldn't even eat no more. That's how homesick I was. And then the next one, Gary, that was about 4 years later, I only had to stay 6 days. And at Linton here, you had to stay 4 days.
And nobody had health insurance back then, did they? How did that work?
Not with Ronnie, we didn't have health insurance, but I think by the other ones we did.
It wasn't bad. How long did you stay in the first one?
8 days.
The bill was $80-some.
Yeah. It wasn't high at all.
So did you have a well? What did you guys do for water out at the farm?
Oh, we had a windmill. And later on we had electricity, we had, then we had water in the house, Yeah. We had the bathroom and everything out on the farm. We remodeled that house and we put everything in. Oh, that's not easy. We talk about it sometimes. How could we do that? But when we were little, my mom, she always had that deal to get in at night, and that's Well, there you didn't have to get up like you do now.
You're talking about age. When you get
Yes,
older, you have to
yeah.
get online.
Yeah,
But I'm
yeah.
thinking running outside in the middle of the
Oh,
night.
running outside, that's right. That is
Yes.
at home. We didn't have no toilet in the house.
Yeah.
But in the night we had that, because I know my mom, she always had to get up too, you know, not just like when we lived on, when I was still home, there was a lot of work there all the time, especially when we had to work out in the field. And my mom, I can't figure out how she could get all that work done because we had big gardens. She did a lot of canning, and a lot of baking and everything, you know, it was. Oh, yeah.
So how did you do that?
Well, I got married, I got a table and 4 chairs. I've got a big kerosene stove with 4 burners and the oven was on there, you know. And I got a bedroom set. And then we didn't get as many wedding gifts as they do nowadays. Then my mom bought me everything you've got to have for the kitchen and a wash top. I had a wash with the, what do you call that, the washboard.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay.
how I had to wash for a long time. And then finally he went to town and bought a new Maytag washing machine with the motor. But then they made so much noise. And we used to have a lot of chickens. One year we bought 500 chickens and we butchered them all and sold them. Well, we kept some for us, you know, but we sold them all. We did that for a few years. That was a lot of work. And then when the girls left, well, then we quit that because I couldn't do it no more. My fingers started to. Poor guy, he just about got killed one Sunday. We went to church and he was going to work on the farmhand or something. And that farmhand came down, and that farmhand tooth went in the back of his leg, came out in the front. While we were in church, well, they called the neighbors, so Frank Kuntz came over and called him, and they wouldn't tell me. They left, and what the heck? So later on, Frank came back, and him and the other Al Liar, you probably know him, he took Jim into the hospital. He had to stay in the hospital for about 9 days. He could have got killed that day. Oh gosh. And when he was 9 months old, he fell out of the creek. Same one, same. And, you know, the kids were supposed to watch him, and we were out milking, and he got up out of, that creek wasn't that high, but he fell out. And food didn't stay down anymore. He had to vomit all the time, so we took him in, and I know when we took him home, he had 17 little holes on his stomach from the needles they had in there. No, that was John. They were sledding.
Oh yeah.
They were all, and went through the fence. John was little yet. He was all tore open, and
Slut with on snow, you know, sluts.
Oh my
Dr.
goodness.
Orchard said, "Oh, we got to sew it shut that the soup doesn't run out."
Oh my
And
goodness.
the poor guy, you know, he was only about 6, 7 years old, and he didn't cry, not at all.
So tell me how you two met.
Okay, there was a dance at the VFW upstairs in Strasbourg, and him and another guy, one of my friends, another lady, they took us up there to the dance. We had one dance, and I danced with Joe, the other one, and Martha danced with him, and then we switched around, and then he wanted to date with the other one the next night, but she wouldn't go with him. So he came to me. Then I was good.
The only one that was left.
So then did you date for a long time before you got married?
Close to 2 years.
Oh wow. And then did you have like a church wedding?
Oh, we had a double wedding. He's a twin.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
And you guys got married. Tell me about that. That must
Yeah.
have been a huge wedding.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, right.
Yeah, he's a twin. But he didn't have no family. His mother died
When I was 18 and she had 11 kids.
and he had to sign up for the service the day his mother was buried.
Yeah.
So from his family, his aunts and uncles, them were his family. You know, and they got broke up, his family.
Oh.
So, and I didn't know any of his family except Al, the one that, his twin brother. Well, then later on I knew Andy, one of the younger ones, Andy and George. But I didn't, Rosemary was our bridesmaid. I didn't even know her until we got married.
So when your family was kind of like broken up, did you like lose track of each other? I mean, they didn't try to keep you connected, or?
They were all around the county there. So, but they were, we were separated. No more elders. Mother died, and Dad looked for other women and booze. And
The people. We ate in the afternoon. We had soup and chicken and me and Katie, the other bride, we had to make the apple pies. But there they sold the cake. They didn't sell the garter or anything. And I know each one got $65 out of the cake money.
at that time, that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Was it? And what did you use that money for? Something special, or
To help pay his share of the wedding.
So you had a mock wedding after your wedding?
Yeah.
I don't understand what that is.
Well, then some people dressed up as the bride and the groom and bridesmaid, and they had fun.
So this would be your sister?
My sister.
And her name was Margaret?
Margaret.
And she was how old?
I think she was 26 when that happened.
And did it happen here?
In Fargo. It happened in Detroit Lakes. Yeah. Well, she dated this guy for 7 years. And I wouldn't have gone with a guy for 7 years if he wouldn't ask me to get married once. And, one Saturday night, her and a bunch of girls went out to the lakes. They sat in the bar or whatever, I don't know. Then he came out there, and then he shot her. She was all the way paralyzed all her life. And then, they locked him up for 1 year, that's all, and he got out.
Do they know why he did it?
Well, I guess he probably thought she was not going to wait for him or something, I don't know. And then he got out, they let him out, and then he committed suicide.
Oh my gosh, so was your sister working in Fargo at
She
the
was
time?
working in Fargo, yeah.
And so then who took care of her after that?
Well, she was in a hospital for a long, long time. She couldn't eat by herself. And, then they took her to, after the money was gone, I think she got $100,000. But my folks took her all over. They took her to Rochester. That didn't take long to spend all that money. So then they took her to the state hospital. And then after that they put her in the nursing home in Fargo. And that's why she died.
And she was younger than you?
She was older
She
than
was
I.
older than
Yeah.
you? So did this guy ever come back? Or did you guys ever make contact with him after he came out of jail?
No, I never met him. See, we didn't get to go to Fargo that often because, I don't know, in the first place we couldn't afford it. And then we milked, we had to stay home and milk, and the only time we got...
And how did she get to Fargo for a job?
Well, I had another two sisters and a brother living in Fargo. And she stayed with Johanna, my second oldest sister. Yeah.
Wow, that's something. That's something that didn't happen very often back then, right?
It was so sad when you got there. Towards the end, she couldn't even talk no more, And then I know they brought her to our house one time, and I had her. Sometimes she couldn't, you had to clean her. That was tough. Yeah. So,
And you're the only one left living out of all your brothers and
Yeah.
sisters? Did you know Lawrence Welk because you grew up in Strasbourg?
Well, I never talked to Lawrence Wilder. We went to used to come to Wishick for a dance when we were single yet. We went to his dance.
Did he play a lot around here?
Huh.
I mean, at local,
No,
he didn't.
Maybe once in a great while. Every Friday night there was a dance in Strasbourg. And in the summertime, they didn't get married on Saturdays. They got married during the week. We got married on a Wednesday. Yeah, there were always wedding dances so now. But nowadays, them kids, they have no place to go. We had a lot of fun. Sunday nights we went to the movie, drove to Linton or Strasbourg. And
Movie theater or drive-in?
we went to the theater a lot, yeah. Them were the good old days. Well, they always had, once a year they had a carnival coming to town or the circus and we always, or my folks always took us too. He said they didn't get to go so many times, but
No. we
I
didn't
enjoyed
get-
my life. I always tell him, he never heard me complain, not once since we're married. 4th of July, absolutely. We even got a new dress.
For the 4th of July? Oh my gosh. Do you remember anything about the Depression
Depression.
years?
No, I.
You must have been
well,
pretty
the
young.
thistles. We know we had a lot of thistles out around the pig fence. You know, that's about the only thing. Well, my dad and the boys went up to Steele to make some hay. That I know because we didn't have any. My ma and one of the boys stayed home and made the hay at home. That I remember. But otherwise I don't remember that we were so poor. I know we didn't have that many clothes like they do nowadays. You know, nowadays clothes don't wear out no more.
Well, and they're so cheap
Yeah,
because they come from other countries.
yeah.
We don't like to talk about that. So,
Mhm.
so was there a grocery store in Strasbourg that you guys
Oh yeah,
went
there
to?
were two of them in Strasbourg.
I don't know if you remember that Midway station out here,
No,
east of town here, not when that Highway 13 was redone there with paved, that was not paved. And then they made that road straight and Midway had to get out of there. They was right on the,
Was Midway the name of a town?
just a store
Oh, okay.
Chores
and a
down.
blacksmith
Many.
and a little beer parlor. And,
And it was midway between.
Linton and Wishing.
Okay. I'm like, hey, I think I'm getting now what's going on here. So
you're not old enough for that
And
yet.
they bought cream. You could take your cream.
They
down
bought
and
cream,
sell it,
yeah.
and eggs and stuff. Did you sell things like that off the farm too?
Oh yeah.
Like whatever.
Yeah. But you know what? We had the cream separator where we had to turn. That was a lot of hard work. Then when you were alone, then you had to quit and hurry up, put some more milk in the top tank, and then go back and turn again. When you separated
Separating.
milk.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, what did you do when Pete was in the service? You were already
we were not
married?
married that
You weren't
time.
married
No,
yet,
I was
okay.
home, but I was.
I didn't have a girlfriend and a wife when I was in the service. Nothing.
Okay, so how about any kind of like? Did you learn how to sew and stuff
Oh
like
yeah,
that?
I used to sew all the kids' clothes, everything. My clothes, I sewed them all. When we had our 25th wedding anniversary, I sewed my dress. When Linda, we went to the prom, I sewed that dress. I sewed the little suit coats and everything.
Really?
I used to sew nice. I like to sew, but now can't do it no more. But everything's so expensive. A zipper is so expensive. The pattern is so expensive, and so is the material.
You might as well
I
buy.
used to work in a cafe as a waitress.
As like a young girl in
Yeah, before
high
I got
school?
married.
Before you got married,
Yeah.
huh? Tell me, what did you get paid to work in?
$15 a week.
And how many hours a week were you working?
I could work as many times as I wanted to. And, well, I used to work, we had a dance Friday nights, and I used to work for intermission, but later on I didn't want to work anymore. You know how it is. Then my sister Eva worked, she was younger. Not like now. No, just in the afternoon the travelers came through. You know, she didn't have meals like they have now. In the afternoon she had hamburgers, pork chops, and hamburger steak, I guess. Them were the three things, that's all, with mashed potatoes and a vegetable. And she had pie all the time. She had nice pies. Like I make a lot of pies with meringue. They love my pies.
Yeah.
She didn't have that many people come to eat. I don't know how she could make it, you know. Well, then she sold ice cream in malls, you know, Sundays, and so. And then I used to work for farmers There I only got $8 a week. When one lady got a baby, I worked. That's when I I had to make some bread. They ran out of bread. So, and I knew how to bake, and my bread turned out just perfect. Then when his folks came out, he said, the old man said, "Gee, what kind of flour have you got? Boy, have you got good bread." Then I was only 17 that time. Then the Ramona said, "Yeah, she's the one that made it." Yes, there's not that much money in baking, but I like to do it. But I don't bake as much as I used to. Oh gosh, did I bake?